everyone. In this video we're going to be enabling an AWS account for deploying a server-side Swift project using the macOS desktop application, Perfect Assistant version 2. This application allows you to quickly get up and running with server-side Swift projects from Perfect, Kitura, Vapor and Zewo, manage their dependencies, build and test Linux executables, and easily deploy to multiple cloud providers. If you follow along with this video, you will, at the end, have your AWS account and Perfect Assistant ready to deploy an application. First, let's go to our AWS account because there are 4 important pieces we need: an SSH private key, a security group, an access key ID, and the secret access key. Go to aws.amazon.com and sign into your AWS account. Click on the Ec2 management link, then on the left under Network and Security, locate and go to Key Pairs. Click on Create Key Pair, then give it a sensible name and click Create. This will create a new key pair and download the private key to your computer. There's one caveat. The key pair you have just created is only valid for the region that is currently selected. For example, if you have North Virginia selected, the key will not work for AWS instances that you try to create in the US West or Oregon region. Now, take that key and place it somewhere secure. If your browser renamed it to use a TXT extension, remove it so that it is just a PEM extension. Once it's moved, do a get info on the file and set the permissions to me as read-only and everyone has no access. Back in the browser, you will see on the left side menu, again under Network and Security, Security Groups. This is where we will set up inbound traffic access to our instances. Click Create Security Group and give the group a name and a short description. Below that are the security group rules. There are currently no inbound security rules, so click Add Rule, select the type as All Traffic, and the source as My IP. This will enable all TCP traffic from your current IP address. If you are on a temporary or frequently changing IP address, you may wish to restrict access a little further than enabling all access. Note that this also only allows access from that IP address. No other IP address can access anything with it set like this. To fix this, let's add another rule. Select HTTP and Anywhere. Now press Create and it will show up in the list. One further thing to make it easier to find later when you have a lot of security groups in the list, select the pencil icon that comes up when you hover over the name field and give it a name. Next, we need to get an access key and ID. Back in the AWS Services list, select IAM, which is listed under Security, Identity and Compliance. Here, select Users. If you haven't already got a user, create a new one. Enter a username and select Programmatic Access. Go to Next Permissions and select Attach Policies Directly. This opens up a dizzying array of choices, but you can filter them down to what you need by selecting Ec2F, which will narrow your choice down to just one. Ec2 Full Access. Select this and click Next Review, then finish by clicking Create User. This is going to show you your new user with the access key ID and its associated secret access key. Take a note of these, we are about to use them. Back in the Perfect Assistant, create a new Ec2 deployment configuration from the index window. If the AWS command line tools are not installed, Perfect Assistant will prompt you to install them when you first open an Ec2 deployment configuration. This prompt will automatically install a local copy of the AWS tools. After creating a new Ec2 configuration, it is given a default generic name. Click the Set button to the right of the title to enable the text area in which you can assign it a new descriptive name. Press the Enter key to provisionally commit the change. You must save the configuration for any changes to be fully committed. Below the title is the main settings view. In this view, you can select the desired deployment region, input your IAM credentials, SSH private key, and select the instances to which associated projects will be deployed. The region pop-up list presents all of the available Ec2 deployment regions. Changing the region will alter the list of available instances onto which the configuration can deploy. Remember to select the same region that you created your key in. Clicking the Add button next to the IAM credentials pop-up will bring up a sheet in which you can enter your access key ID and your secret access key, and enter a descriptive name for this set of credentials. These are the values we noted down before after we created the IAM user. After adding the credentials, use the Choose button next to the SSH private key text entry to locate and select the private key file that we downloaded before. Now that we have a valid set of credentials, the Available Instances view can be used to select or create new instances to deploy to. Perfect Assistant Ec2 deployments rely on a specific base image for instances, and it is likely that only those that were created within the Assistant will show up here. Clicking the Add button next to this list will bring up a sheet permitting new instances to be created. Enter the number of new instances to create, select the instance type and size, key pair, and subnet. It will generally be okay to leave the default subnet selected unless you have specifically created one within AWS. Select one or more security groups for the new instances. It is vital that the security groups permit at least SSH access for the machine from which you will be deploying. Select the base image, which will be used for the new instances. Each of these images are crafted specifically for Swift deployment and is based on Ubuntu 16.04. Clicking Launch will close the sheet and trigger new instance creation. As it can take a short bit for new instances to fully start, please be patient. Clicking the Refresh button will refresh the instances list, and the new instances will appear once they have fully launched. Newly created instances will not have a name associated with them. Double-click in the Name column for the instance you wish to name or rename. Enter the new name and press Enter. Finally, select one or more instances for deployment by checking the Selected checkbox in the first column of the list. This will mark the instances as being deployment destinations for the configuration. Once that is done, save the configuration to commit all the changes. That's all there is to the setup of the AWS deployment process in Perfect Assistant. In the next video, we will be using this to deploy a project to AWS.